Welcome back.
Yes, yes.
We are officially back on WBKS1.com. And of course, everyone's here for the Plainfield Mayoral race discussion with the candidates of the great city of Plainfield. And we have with us right now the Honorable current Mayor, Adrian Mapp.
Yes, of the city of Plainfield.
Yes.
Welcome.
Welcome to the show.
And I'm just going to give you a small introduction of our current mayor in the city of Plainfield. On January 1st, 2014, Adrian Mapp was sworn in as mayor of the city of Plainfield. Mayor Mapp served as a councilman in Plainfield for over 12 years, Union County freeholder for 1 term. Mayor Mapp is a CPA and a chief municipal finance officer, director of finance, and qualified purchasing agent for the city of Orange. Mayor of the Year 2017 by Gateway Regional Chamber of Commerce, and he's here at WBKS1.com.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Mayor Mapp, first and foremost, we have encountered each other on many occasions, and we want you to know this is a platform for you to discuss further about what you intend to do for the future of the city of Plainfield if you remain the mayor. And please take the floor and with any opening remarks before we go into our questions.
Again, thanks for having me. I must say that as mayor of the city of Plainfield, having been given the opportunity back in 2014, I entered office with a vision for the city, a vision of bringing transformative change to our city. And over that time, I have been able, with the team of people that I brought into the administration, to accomplish a number of things. And I am hoping that going forward, as the mayor of the city, come tomorrow and I am successful and I am returned to office as mayor, I am looking forward to building on the progress, the initiative that we have started. I am looking forward to making our city the best place in the state of New Jersey, where businesses will continue to want to come and invest, where we will create opportunities for our young people, recreational opportunities, job opportunities, and where our city will regain the reputation that it once had. And I believe that we are on that trajectory to make Plainfield the absolute best city in the state of New Jersey, and I am excited at the opportunity to be able to keep moving Plainfield forward.
One of the big questions that keeps popping up from everyone is more jobs, more opportunity for the youth, and connecting with the youth more. What are your plans to bring more employment opportunities to our youth?
Well, there are a few things that we have in mind. First and foremost is that we are working extremely hard on attracting businesses to our city. And we've been successful so far, and we have some 60 projects that are before the planning and zoning boards and some that are under construction. And I am sure that as these businesses continue to come into the city, jobs will come with those businesses. Absolutely. We have major plans for the Muhlenberg campus, where we will transform that campus that was once a hospital into a medical mall, where there will be a plethora of medical services provided, and some 200 jobs will come there as a result of this development. I also, though, want to make sure that we train our young people for the jobs of the 21st century. Coding. I want to make sure they become Cisco certified. I want to make sure that our young people are prepared for the work that lies ahead, and that they're qualified and are able to make their way in the world. And those who are interested in going on to college, I want to make sure that we provide that avenue as well. Those who want to learn a trade, I want to make sure we provide that vehicle, which brings me to this very important point. We did a soft opening of Plainfield Nantech World. That is the Plainfield branch of the National Action Network, a technology center that we are opening here in the city of Plainfield. It will be housed at New Covenant Church on 7th and Roosevelt. We already have, I believe, 24 workstations there, and we'll be providing training for our young people so they can, be prepared and they can access the jobs that are available.
How about cultural, the arts in the city of Plainfield? There's a lot of talented young people here in the city of Plainfield. Particularly, my partner and I took part in a program in Newark,
Right.
Express Newark, and it really develops the artistic individual, those that are interested in filmmaking, those that are interested in visual arts, and cultural things like that really help to build the city. Are there any plans for that? Anything along those lines in Plainfield?
Well, certainly, my administration is very interested in creating a cultural arts center in the city of Plainfield for the visual as well as for the performing arts. And about 2 or so months ago, we had a meeting at the Ducre School of Arts where a number of people came together and brainstormed over the idea of creating that artistic space within our city. And so it is my hope, my goal, that we can connect with foundations, that we could connect with people who have that passion, that desire. There's a lady at the French School of Music who is very much interested in partnering with the city and with other agencies for us to come together and be able to create that cultural destination here in Plainfield. So it is it is something that I am very interested in, and members of my administration, together with people in the community, we're going to work to make that happen. Ideally, I would love to see it in the heart of our downtown, and so location has not been decided upon, but we are certainly very interested in making Plainfield a destination for the arts.
The city of Plainfield has very high taxes. So when you speak to a lot of the residents, they complain about the taxes, the property taxes, and everything.
And the PMUA bill.
In the PMUA bill. Are you proposing some type of plan or strategy to get the city of Plainfield's taxes lowered?
Here's what I would say to you. New Jersey has the reputation of being the highest property tax state in the nation. And the work that we've been doing, the foundation that we have laid, we are confident that we will bring a number of businesses into our city. And by so doing, we will provide property tax relief and stabilization to homeowners in particular. And I say homeowners in particular because the goal of my administration is that we will bring commercial businesses in so that we could shift the burden of taxes away from the homeowners to the commercial businesses. And that is why we are so focused on mixed-use development in our city. A couple of the projects that we have in progress right now, the $50 million development, will bring in an additional $7-point-something million in taxes. This is compared to what would have been had nothing been done. Had nothing been done, we would have collected about $3 million in taxes. With the development, we'll be collecting close to $11 million. On the site on South 2nd Street, the mixed use, where we were able to keep ABC building supplies in our city, we were collecting zero from a blighted 5-acre site owned by the city that had been blighted for over 30 years. We're going to be collecting roughly $3.5 million in taxes. So my plan is to continue to entice developers to come into our city and to transform the blighted spaces into productive commercial spaces. Right down the street from you, next to the Netherwood train station, sometime the latter part of this year or early next year, there will be a 5-story building that will be going up right there across the street from Siler Field. Those are tax rateables that are going to be coming into the city. So the commercial developers are going to be shouldering more of the burden, and there will be relief that will be provided to our homeowners. And homeowners do need relief. You asked about the PMUA. Many people complain about the rates. I have complained about the rates over the years as well. And I've had discussions with the leadership of the PMUA and with my administration. And what I have proposed is that instead of the PMUA billing 15,000 property owners 4 times a year, 60,000 pieces of paper that would go out over the course of the year, that we consolidate the PMUA bill with the city's budget. And so instead of the PMUA, let's assume the PMUA's budget is $23 million. I think it's in that neighborhood, and that is billed to 15,000 property owners 4 times a year, quarterly. I want that bill to come to the city of Plainfield so that by it coming to the city of Plainfield, it becomes a part of the city's budget. And currently, the PMUA bill is not deductible on your income tax return. The city's property taxes are. So if, for example, you are paying $1,000 to the PMUA annually, you can't deduct that. If that is shifted over to the city's budget, then you can deduct it. And if you are in the 28% tax bracket, you will save $280 out of that $1,000. So that's a way to provide relief in terms of the PMUA's bill.
Okay. The school system. A lot of people don't understand how the city and schools are related or not related, and what the city can actually do to work together with the school system. Could you enlighten us on that?
Well, I believe there's a lot that we can do to partner with our local public school district. I am not happy at all, with the state of things in our school district. We have teachers that work extremely hard, that pour their hearts and souls into educating our young people. I think the problem lies in the administration of our local school district. And so we have a board of 9 school board members. And as mayor, I do not control our local school district. But it is important for me to have a seat at the table working in partnership with the Board of Ed members as well as with the superintendent, whoever he or she happens to be. So I think it is incumbent upon me as a leader in the city, as the mayor, to try to help identify the best candidates possible that could run to become members of the Board of Education, so that we have the best Board of Ed members who have a passion and a commitment to education, working closely in partnership with my administration, so that together we can really find some of the solutions that are lacking right now. I think that we've had over the last 10 plus years a Board of Ed where the focus was not on educating the young minds that are in our school district. And so over the last year, I supported some candidates who were elected. I am hoping to identify additional candidates to run for the Board of Education so that we can get board members who are committed to improving the quality of education that is delivered in our school district. And I am confident we can get there. I am willing to be a partner at the table, working with our Board of Ed members and with the administration of the school.
Let me ask you, this is the hard one. You get a lot of criticism in the city of Plainfield, a lot. If you are reelected, what can you do? And you know probably better than I do the criticism that you receive, to kind of, if reelected, how will you bring the city together? Because it does seem very divided.
And I'm glad that you asked that question. I have been talking about One Plainfield. I think that people need to recognize that you don't have to have been born at Muhlenberg Hospital in order to be a part of Plainfield. We all came from someplace else. And I think cultural sensitivity, I think being consciously and culturally aware of who you are and the connections that we all have, I think that's a place where we need to start. I think we need to understand that being of Plainfield doesn't mean that you had to have been born in Plainfield. And I think that as soon as we are able to put that notion on the shelf and understand that we are all one people, whether or not we came through this space and time on the island of Barbados, on a southern plantation, on the continent of Africa, that we are one people, and we have got to forget this notion about East and West, you know, Front Street versus Second Street. I think those are the kind of artificial boundaries that have been dividing this city. And it is my goal, my fervent hope, that the people who are critical of me because I was not born here in these United States and who find that to be a barrier from them wanting to come together, I would hope that they would recognize that we are all one and that we might have been dropped off at different plantations, whether in these United States, whether in the Caribbean, wherever, and that we are all in the same boat now, and that we must understand that there is a need for us to work collectively, cooperatively, and collaboratively as one Plainfield in order for us to get the best out of what Plainfield has to offer, and forget the notion that I was born here, raised here 40 years ago. There's some people who are younger than I am, younger than my kids, and they could say the same thing. But my kids were born right at Muhlenberg Hospital as well. But they also know that life for them did not begin at Muhlenberg Hospital. They know that there are people who came before them, who came from the continent of Africa, who came from many different places, but who, because that we carry that common thread as human beings, that we are all one. And it shouldn't matter where one was born. It should matter one's commitment to the people that he or she serves.
I think some of it might be, even in addition to that, some of the haves and the have-nots, because there is a sector that feels that they're lacking, and maybe they feel like they don't have a seat at the table. How do you address them, or where is the vision for how we make that gap smaller?
I'm going to tell my story more than I have been telling my story. People look at me and they see this house on West 8th Street where I live and where I call home today. But I grew up very poor. I was fathered by my grandmother. I went to school with no lunch, with just a bottle of sugar water, and I had to rely on the generosity of my school friends to get a piece of sandwich in order to make it through the day. I grew up without a father, not knowing my father until I became older. So I'm a product of a single parent household. When you see poor in the dictionary, you see my picture there. And so I understand that the zip code where a person was born does not determine his or her destination in life. And so I'm going to tell my story so that people understand that I am the product of a very poor upbringing, and that I came up through the harshest conditions, and that I want the best for every single person living in Plainfield. And so one of the ways that I am going to be able to do that is to provide the support systems that our young people in particular need, to provide opportunities for those people who don't feel they have a seat at the table, opportunities for jobs, opportunities for education. And I want people to know that the doors of City Hall are wide open. I meet with people every single day, regardless of whether you're from the East End or the West End, whether you're from North or South. and City Hall is open. It doesn't matter to me, the zip code. I meet with people each and every day. I want people to know that they can come to me any time of day, and I am going to make sure that people understand that, they know that, they can touch and feel and be a part of it. Job opportunities, as these developments are coming into our city, we are writing into the agreements, the need to provide opportunities for employment to people in Plainfield.
That was another question
The
I had.
need for local businesses to be a part of the economic renaissance that we experience in here.
So let me ask you on that note. Okay, so we have a lot of local businesses. Not everybody has the proper structure to be able to play in the arena. They may not have those resources in terms of being in position to go after a government contract or be able to present or to pursue that. Is there any mechanism in place to help them?
Any type of training programs that you don't want to implement or intend to implement
Or in place?
I'm glad you asked that. I'm not sure if either of you is on my weekly newsletter that goes out every Friday. But in that newsletter, we advertise seminars that are hosted by my administration almost every week, where we bring in professionals to speak to small business owners, to teach them how to create a business plan, to teach them how to apply for grants, teach them how to apply for loans. And we have even brought to the table the Regional Business Assistance Corporation, where small businesses can get loans from $0 up to $1 million. We have partnered with another entity called, the name escapes me right now, but the Economic Development Director, Carlos Sanchez, he and his staff, we put together every week, every month, any number of seminars where we provide small businesses with the advice, the support systems, the access to financing, so that our small businesses can get off the ground. America is fueled by small businesses. Small businesses create the most jobs. And so I want Plainfielders, small businesses, to be a part of the American success story.
One of the candidates we had here last week, Reverend Tracy Brown, she and I brought up this to the other candidate, the gentleman that just left. She mentioned the term rebranding. Plainfield needs to be rebranded. How do you respond to that? And with the term that she used, Plainfield needs to be rebranded.
Well, I am glad that Reverend Tracy Brown has borrowed that term, rebranding, from my administration. And I say that in all seriousness. We have been discussing the need to rebrand Plainfield for quite some time. And to that end, we have brought on a director of communications. We have contracted with a third-party vendor who their job is to rebrand the city of Plainfield. And we have had a number of opportunities to do that. I have been in Ebony Magazine. I have been on different television programs just talking about the greatness of Plainfield. And so we will continue to invest in making sure that the negative perceptions about our city are erased. And one of the ways that we can do that are for these very same candidates that are running against me, seeking to become the mayor of our city, to stop dogging our city and spreading poison about our city. You will never hear me on a radio program speaking negatively about our city. Just like you wouldn't hear me in the street speaking negatively about a member of my family. You do that behind closed doors. You don't air, no one airs their dirty linen in public. And so leaders in the city must know that they're ambassadors of the city of Plainfield. And if they truly believe in the city that we love so much, they need to stop speaking negatively about our city and to promote the very good things, the greatness of Plainfield.
Well, the truth is, I mean, the city does have a crime problem. It has a serious gang issue. And these are things we can't be blind to, because a lot of us do have children and out here in the streets. So I don't know if there's so much speaking negative or just calling it as it really is. Sometimes you have to call it as it really is and address it as it really is in order to handle the problem properly. And I've been at meetings where you spoke about what you intend to do for the city in reference to the crime and everything. But when you take a hard look at it, like, what do you really propose to change certain elements that go on in the city of Plainfield and put it back into a positive light?
Yeah. There are a number of things that I propose to do, and I've already talked about the educational training opportunity that we're going to provide to our young people at Plainfield Nantech World, where we're going to be teaching them coding, getting them Cisco certified, so that they can get off the street and into gainful employment opportunities. We're also, the architectural rendering is already out there. I believe it was in my last newsletter, where we are creating at Hannah Atkins a multi-story facility with indoor recreation for soccer, football, lacrosse, basketball, as well as there will be a tennis court, there will be a track, and on the upper floors we will be having classrooms for tutoring and mentoring. It's going to be the Hannah Atkins Entrepreneurial, Recreational, and Educational Center. That is the investment that we're going to be making in our young people. Plainfield, like any other city, has crime. There isn't a city in these United States that don't. But no mayor in any city in these United States who's worth his salt goes around speaking negatively of his city. Now, I don't have on blinders. I know that our city has crime, but we are addressing it. And I know for a fact that since I took office in January of 2014, crime across the board has gone down by 25%. And violent crime, in spite of the homicides, has gone down by 30%. We have hired additional cops. We've hired 20 in like the last 24 months. Another 10 will be going into the academy in January. And so we have put cameras. Anytime you have an opportunity, go to our police headquarters and take a tour and see the technology that we've invested in addressing the issue of crime. We have put body cameras on every police officer so there can be accountability, where the police are safer and our residents are safer. And complaints against police has gone down by over 50%. So we are tackling aggressively the issues of crime in our city. We don't have our heads in the sand. We are not ostrich, and we have seen the improvements as a result. But there is a responsibility that every parent has. No child should be leaving the house at 2 o'clock in the morning. No child. And so we as parents, we have to take responsibility, and we must be accountable for our actions and the actions of our young people as well.
I have a question talking about the youth. And there are a lot of nonprofits in town. So, some for people with drug addictions, and some that help the homeless, and, building, affordable housing. But in terms of the nonprofits and the youth programs, how can there be a better, what's the word I'm looking at? I guess collaboration, or how can they find support?
I think it's important for us to know who the nonprofits are, because we want to work in partnership with nonprofit organizations. And so one of the things that we are going to look to do is to create a registry of the nonprofits that are in the city, and especially those who are community focused, social engineers who really want to help us address the social challenges and ills that we have in our city. So a social registry of nonprofits, that's something that we want to do. Oftentimes, nonprofits might come forward and say, can you give me this? Can you give me that? Donate $1,000. Well, the fact of the matter is, the New Jersey State Constitution precludes any governmental entity in New Jersey from just giving money to a nonprofit. We just can't do it. If there is a service that a nonprofit can provide to the city, we could sign a contract with that nonprofit. The nonprofit provides the service, and the nonprofit gets paid. But if a nonprofit were to come to the city and say, I need $5,000, I can't say to the CFO, write a check for $5,000. However, we can work with nonprofits to find grants. So that's a partnership that I'm very interested in. I want to have that kind of a partnership. And if a nonprofit needs some assistance in identifying a grant, if a nonprofit needs me to get in touch with Senator Booker, Senator Menendez, to advocate on the behalf of that nonprofit, I want to do that. I truly do.
And I want to go back, if I may. You just recently said that you hate when people, when the candidates particularly speak negative against the city of Plainfield. I actually hate when people compare the city of Plainfield with other cities and say we need to be more like a blueprint of. And the one I hear a lot is Westfield. When I talk to some of the residents, is Westfield. How could Plainfield be more like Westfield as far as how the streets are kept, the level of crime is low, this, that, whatever. Do you think Westfield has a better blueprint than the city of Plainfield as far as how it's ran and how it's taken care of?
I have heard that question very recently, as a matter of fact, that comment very recently. I don't want Plainfield to be like Westfield. I don't want Plainfield to be like Cranford. I don't want Plainfield to be like Clark. I want Plainfield to be better than any of those cities that I just mentioned. And I must tell you, we have one of the best housing stocks any place in the state of New Jersey, in the country. People from Westfield are moving into Plainfield in droves.
Really?
Yes. You can ask any realtor.
Okay.
They are moving to Plainfield because of what we have to offer, because of our cultural diversity, because of our housing stock. Westfielders are selling their homes and are moving to Plainfield, New Jersey. I don't want to be like any of those cities. I want to be better. One should never take the path of least resistance. Never take the path, you must cut your own path. You must chart your own course. And that's what I'm trying to do for Plainfield as its leader. So I don't want to be following what Westfield is doing or what Clark. I want to chart our own course and become that place, that city that others want to be like one day.
And thank you for answering that, because again, I hear that a lot with the comparisons. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this. When you debated Tracy Brown, I heard she was criticized because she, when we have certain victims from violence in the city of Plainfield, she offers them free funeral service and gives them a funeral and the whole ceremony and everything. She was criticized about that. Why is that a bad thing? And do you think she's doing that for some type of gain?
Well, let me say this. Let me say this to you. If you were to give me a fish so that I could not be hungry, I think it would be bad of you to speak of giving me that fish. There are things that I do for people each and every day, and I have a policy. Do something good for another person each and every day and tell no one about it. The families that have been victims of the homicides over the course of the last 12, 16 months, I have met with every family. Either I went to their homes or, for whatever reason, they came to City Hall. And I will never speak of what I have done for those families. You will never hear it from my lips. Just know that I care deeply about every one of the families of the victims of homicide or any crime in our city. And I will continue to do the best that I can. What God has given to me, I will continue to share in ways that I'm able to with the people who need my services and assistance.
Well, thanks for addressing that, because that's part of some of the criticism from the residents of Plainfield. They say that, well, Mayor Mapp, he has a disconnect from a lot of the residents in the city of Plainfield. Is there anything you want to add to that? Because I think you kind of cleared it up in your statement just now. But is there anything you want to add to that about them saying you have a disconnect with a good portion of the residents in the city of Plainfield?
I say to any person within the sound of my voice who feels that way to get to know me. You know, once people know who I am, they really have a different opinion. Don't judge me from a distance. I mean, I've said that City Hall is open. I open my house every year, at least twice a year, for everyone from across the city. I don't care who you are. I don't care your social status, your educational background. Twice a year, I open my home. On the weekend of Martin Luther King and the third Saturday in August every year. And people from across the city, they come, they interact. So there are people who are very judgmental and who have kept their distance and have never given themselves the opportunity to get to know who I am, because they've put up that wall. They've said, I don't like him. I'm not going to interact with him. It doesn't matter what, the issue, the situation, the condition. I am extremely easy to get along with. But the person who has decided to put up a wall will never know who I am, because they are not able to penetrate that wall that they have erected.
I know we have to wrap up soon, but I want to ask you, in terms of reflecting on your administration, what are you most proud of?
I am extremely proud of the fact that we have given Plainfield a fresh start, and that we are able to bring economic development to our city that has missed so many opportunities, and that now Plainfield has been well positioned to become a city that is the envy of cities around the state. So I am proud of the fact that I have begun the process of transforming Plainfield's reputation all across the state, and that I have built relationships locally at the county, state, and federal levels that will see resources flowing into the city of Plainfield. And since I know we are short on time, I want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to my running mates, Joylette Mills Ransom, who's running for the 2nd and 3rd wards, as well as Steve Hockaday, a fine young man, a role model to whom all of our young people should aspire to be like Steve Hockaday. And so I want to give that shout out to both of them and encourage people on June 6th, tomorrow, to vote for the entire team of candidates in column A, from Phil Murphy all the way down to the committee candidates, and to cast their vote for 4 more years for me to continue as your mayor. I can pledge this to you. This city will come together, and I call on everyone within the sound of my voice to get rid of the barriers that are currently keeping them from, seeing all that we have to offer as an administration, the barriers that's keeping them away from interacting. Just let everything just bubble up to the surface and let Plainfield shine as it should. Know that I am here to work with every single resident in the city of Plainfield. I have nothing personal against anyone. I just want what's best for Plainfield. I will close, if this is the point to close, on what boxer Hurricane Carter said. When I first came to this country, I was watching Wide World of Sports with Howard Cosell and boxer Hurricane Carter, who was in prison for about 20 years for a murder that he didn't commit. He was asked by Howard Cosell, "You spent 20 years in jail for this murder that you didn't commit. Aren't you bitter?" And he said, "No, I can't be bitter. Bitterness consumes the vessel that contains it." And so I say to everyone, if you harbor bitterness, it's going to consume you. It's going to destroy you. Get rid of the bitterness. Let's come together as one people working for the common good of Plainfield. I love Plainfield. I love all of you out there within the sound of my voice.
Well, let's clap it up for the Honorable Mayor Adrian Mapp.
Thank you for coming in.
We thank you for coming on our platform, WBKS1.com. And again, we wish you luck.
I thank you for having me.
Yes. People, please keep it locked. We have another candidate coming in to talk to us here at WBKS1.com. And again, you just heard from Mayor Adrian Mapp about what he intends to do with this great city of Plainfield. So we appreciate you. We thank you for coming on, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.